Hello and welcome back to the Sunday special episode of the U Up podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. We love a Sunday special, but we love a special guest, which is happening today.
Special guest.
Special host of the newest Betches podcast called Ask Men Anything. Hilarious comic, good friend of mine for years and years. Emma Willmann, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. How you guys doing?
Everything's good.
We're good. I mean, I've followed you on Instagram for a bit, but it was so great to see you at the at Betches Night Out because it was the first time I've seen your stand-up, and it was so funny.
I appreciate that. Were you at the most recent one or the first one?
I was at the first one.
Nice.
Yeah. It was such a funny show, and you were like amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, listen to Ask Men Anything, but also go see Emma do stand up because she was so funny.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And we have Jared on the first episode.
Yes, it was so much fun. I think, I've known Emma forever. Two New Englanders.
Yes.
From the great state of Maine.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
I think we met at open mics.
We did.
Like
years ago. And I remember you talking about that you had left finance.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that so well.
Right.
And I remember passing each other in the snow. Every time I remember it, it gets more and more extreme. But the way it was like 100 below, and we were going to open mics, and we were the only ones out and about in a blizzard.
Just speaking to no one.
Right.
Just
Well, literally,
totally.
because you would pass each other, but it was like we were like heading to two open mics at like 5 o'clock, and it was so cold out that we just knew where each other were going, and I was like, yeah, I'll be, and I was like, Eastville, you're like, stand up, and I was like, yeah, and we just like kept walking.
Comic ESP.
Right.
Yes. Love it.
Never forget.
But everyone needs to go see Emma live, and
Yes.
when I heard about the premise of the podcast, I was like, Emma is the perfect person for such a show.
Yes. Well, explain the premise of Ask Men Anything.
Here's the premise. We're trying to get to the heart of what modern masculinity is through an individual lens, because I've always had a lot of guy friends, and then I'll have straight female friends ask me questions to ask them because they're like, you can get them comfortable. They're not trying to sleep with you. No offense, none taken. And then I'll kind of report back. So I thought, why don't I have these intimate conversations in a setting where more people can ask me to ask them questions and we can share. And then also I'll share little dilemmas of my own. Like Jared helped me out with one. I was my girlfriend and I were having problems with dirty talk. It wasn't lining up. So that was an example of a dilemma. And then he helped me out and I incorporated it. And thank you.
Well, I love what you said, the comfortability part.
Comfortability.
I think that's something I've always felt comfortable with you, Emma, when we talk about stuff. And I feel comfortable with lesbians because I...
Soundbite.
Tell us more.
Make it your ringtone. Well, I think, I always say I say a lot of things, but most of all, comedy. We get a lot of shit for like offending people and all this stuff, but like the comedy community is the most diverse workplace that exists. We have everything from every background telling jokes from their perspective.
That is true.
And so whenever I'm around lesbian comics and friends, if the conversation makes me feel comfortable because they're like, yeah, fuck that bitch.
Right. There's not a PC-ness about it.
Right,
Okay.
because it almost is like, I don't, there's an element, when you talk about like masculinity, there's an element of like, am I just being the piece of shit dude that I am?
Right.
Or is this something that across sexual preference, gender, whatever it may be, that is just, no, you're right, I feel the same way. Like my girlfriend, I've noticed that too. Like to hear you say that, you go,
Relationships are tricky, and then there's like a little twist to it because I think when you're relating to the power dynamic's a little bit different when it's a masculine woman incorporating the same struggle. So then you can go, it becomes less like harsh a little bit too.
Right. Well, it becomes almost like less gendered. in a
Yes,
way.
Yeah.
that's what I was
It's
looking
not just
for.
like, it's not like, oh, bro frat guy
Right.
being an asshole. It's like, no, people saying that another person is an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
It brings us, and so I do think you are like the best at this because we have these conversations and it's like we're like just we're getting down to it without the other stuff in the way, where it's
Relationships are tricky. They're
Right.
hard. It's so hard to navigate with. And I think sometimes people think if they were with someone, like I've had a lot of, it's all straight female friends will say this. They'll have a really bad experience with a guy and then they'll go, I wish I was gay.
Yes.
And I'm like,
haven't we all said that?
but
Yes,
I'm like,
right, yeah.
but don't you would be attracted to the same type of woman as you
Right.
are a man? Like I had this roommate.
interesting,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like it doesn't magically. And I've thought the same thing too. I have this friend, and he stayed with me for a couple weeks, and I was like, I wish I were straight because then I would be with someone like that. And it's like, but
Right.
why if I switch sexualities would also he's such a nice guy. He's not the type of guy that I date the equivalent of in women.
Right.
So like it's like if you like this roommate of mine at the time, she liked really like, I don't know, the guy she was dating was a part-time improv instructor that wouldn't commit to monogamy. He was a dirtbag. And I said, you're going to like the same thing in women.
Right.
You
I
know?
think there's this
Right.
idea that like women can communicate better.
Sure.
That, you know,
and
there
I'm here to
wouldn't-
say, not necessarily.
No, I think that it's true. It's obviously like a stereotype, but I think the idea is like, you know, it's just harder that men speak a different language, or that they're
Sure.
communicating in a way that's different. And I don't know if that's true or not. Like you said, like maybe that's just like a gendered stereotype. But I think of, I guess, my other straight female friends, and it's like they're just able to convey emotions and thoughts about things in just such a more depthy way than a lot of men.
Absolutely. I see that too. And then
Right.
I'll see with like arguing, I've noticed, and I've noticed usually like the more feminine energy someone has, the better they are at arguing. But I'll see it in like effeminate gay guys too, or like
Right.
since I'll date feminine women, they are always their arguing skills. And I don't know how that works. Like if that's like, I asked my doctor at one time, I was like, does more testosterone make you worse at arguing? And he was like, I cannot answer this. Like he was like, this is so out of my
I don't want my license taken away.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're looking around for cameras. Who's gonna cancel me? No, but
Please
But I think it might.
Well, I mean, if I was to take that out another,
Please.
to another step, which this might, make, I don't know. This, in my opinion, it would be, well, if you have more testosterone, you are looking to physically compete more.
Right.
So you don't talk. You're like, let's just physically, let's grapple.
Right.
Let's play a sport. Let's do something that we can, or watch a sport, or, cheer
Sure.
at something
Right.
where we're not, instead, it's not the sit at a
Let's
table and
grapple.
have
yeah, well,
I
men-
dissociate butch lesbian say to you know what? Let's grapple. What even is that? Like,
right. Well, I mean, you said it yourself. I think when you said, how do men bond? By not looking at each other.
Shoulder to
Right.
shoulder.
By not
right.
having intimate conversation. It's like it's frowned upon. But how do women bond? They're having dinner together. They're looking at each other.
and then I
in the
wonder if
eyes.
a more effeminate gay, and this is, I do not have a background in anything with hormones or how this works, but I
Right.
do wonder if a more effeminate gay guy would probably bond more likely through the talking as well.
I bet they would.
So I always
Yeah.
think that, like, I remember one time I was at a clothing store and there was this gay guy couple, and me and the more masculine one were sitting waiting for our respective partners to like try stuff on. We were both like hunched over in the most like classic like gender stereotype thing.
Right.
And then his partner came out and started being like, you said you like this, but you're not even looking at it. You weren't even looking. You were just looking at your phone. And I was like, oh my God, relationships.
Right.
And so I just think something about that is so interesting too, how you see. And of course, it's not like that with, they'll have ones where it's like equal amounts masculine and masculine, but sometimes you see that in straight relationships too. I
Right.
think.
So what kind of questions are we asking men?
Okay, so we're getting all types of questions. It can be from like the silly, like why do men have like dishes soaking in the sink for so long? Why do they take so long to tie their shoe? Some of them we're figuring out are just about specific guys. Like someone wrote in and said, why does it take men so long to sit down and eat? They always get up and have to go do these things. And we just thought maybe their boyfriend has ADHD. So some of them
This is a
aren't.
deeper issue.
Right,
The licensed
exactly.
therapist on there. Right.
Then we're asking a lot of questions about their relationship with their mother, when they first learned of gender as a concept. Anything you would want to know to get inside the male mind, too, if you're interested in dating them also.
Right. The relationship with the mothers, I think, could be like a whole sub-series.
Oh, yeah, Jared had a
Right.
good answer on that.
Yeah.
I did. I just remember telling you about Saved by the Bell Club.
Yes.
Which is a teaser for the first episode. Also, when we went to promote the episode, I thought it was interesting that the subject of men liking the Roman Empire
Oh yeah.
was like
Right.
starting
That
to
was very
become an
funny. I saw
internet
that
thing.
promo, yeah.
I didn't know
Right.
that was a thing.
Well,
Why
I was
do men love the Roman Empire?
I guess, well, it was, I made a joke out of it because I'd never heard of such a thing. And so, like, I was like, togas and, beheading people. I don't know. I made like a joke. I like went over the edge.
What is
to
the
say-
manliest era?
Right. Well, I do understand that, like, there's a brand of dude that's like really into like history, and like really into like war history. And I do think that that's a more applicable thing than just Roman Empire on its own. Like there's like
Right.
World War II guy history,
Yeah, my
World
dad
War
loves that
One
stuff.
guy, Roman
Nazi
Empire.
memorabilia.
Right, the big Nazi memorabilia guys. Yeah, I know them all. So no, but I was like, that is something interesting to answer for because I don't know. I guess there's a thought of like, look, I guess if you're a guy, like this doesn't sound great. The glory days.
Right.
Oh, boy.
Like when
Yeah.
no one, you could just roam around and just be an animal,
Right.
Yes.
and no one would be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
you
it's
just
just. I mean, some comedian has said this before. It's like the worst time in history to be a white man. Right.
Right
Some
now.
could say I'm not going to agree or disagree with that, but it's definitely interesting
are
to
over.
see what it's over for us.
over
I'm the
for you.
last bastion.
I wonder about that. I wonder because I also then maybe it'll get worse. We don't know, or maybe it'll be better. Maybe they'll have like an awakening, being, oh, thank God, my blinders were on because I couldn't see through all, like I wasn't living in reality, and now I'm so grateful.
Well, I think it
Little
goes one
doubtful.
way. That's
Right.
doubtful.
But-
I think it goes
maybe.
one way or another. Like you see, like the alt-right type
Sure.
of look of a guy.
Right.
It's a straight white dude who's angry.
Well, the
So
alt-right
angry.
guy.
But I'm not saying that we have to.
Right.
Our lives shouldn't be made making those people feel better. I'm just saying that.
I mean, that's the classic, probably Roman Empire guy of like,
Pissed.
those are the guys that are like longing for times of yore.
right.
When like all the power was concentrated.
I'm telling you this right now. I'm pretty good with times right now.
Yeah.
Roman.
you're
I'd have to.
comfortable.
Right. I'd have to walk places. I'd know Google Maps.
No Uber Eats.
No Uber Eats.
Yeah.
I know microwaves.
Right.
I have-
Doing well.
I have to
2023.
skin a cat to eat. Fuck that.
Lord.
Someone asked me if I knew how to like fix a hole in the wall. I was like, ugh, no, 2023. This is great.
Yeah.
I agree.
TaskRabbit.
I think that it also is like, I think it's good for men to be able to share their feelings too, more than, there were still like, because I always look back, I mean, my dad was never encouraged to share. It was always just focus or anger. Because I think of like, I don't think my dad had very many friends. And I think it's like even more of
Right.
out of work. So I feel like, or I remember asking once, I was like, Dad, who's your best friend? And he said, I have a lawyer who's been with me for 12 years.
Like you pay him.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like, I've known Steve for 12 years and 2 divorces. Like, he's like giving me his resume. And I was
Right.
like, and then I think of my mom's friends and they all have like a backstory and a future. And it just feels like, I think that's part of them not being encouraged to communicate their feelings. That's an important part of friendship.
Right. Or to like or to vocalize connections. I
Yes.
think too. Like your dad is almost like won't say, like he won't, like the term best friend, you've said this before,
Right.
like to a
Right.
man is like
Too close.
probably emasculating almost in a sense.
It's emasculating.
Right.
It's also
Like
like,
the
why would I even?
the idea that you would have that you would publicly state a connection with someone is,
Right. I've met him. Your
right?
brother? Yeah.
Yeah, like he's like your dad said, he's
Right.
my lawyer, or I've known him for
Right.
this long. It's like anything to sort of distance yourself from like a sense of like connection.
Sure.
Right?
Outside of like, there's a clear boundary of he's helping
Right.
with him. I was like,
There's
but
a reason we hang out, okay?
Right.
We're not
right.
just-
we
we're
don't
not
just hang out
talking.
because we like each other.
we're doing
Yeah, yeah.
paperwork over here.
Yeah.
But they need that support too, I would imagine. Everybody does.
Of course. I
Also,
think,
you get
yeah.
it from both ends. You know, like if you're, like look at the whole thing with the ick. You get it like it's like if you do something, most of the ick stuff is women saying a guy, which they're not saying is a guy being beta.
Yeah.
As not fair as that is, as bad as that sounds, that's what they're saying when they're like, oh, he.
No, it's true, yeah.
Most of them are beta
Right.
items.
My
And-
ick was like applying sunscreen.
right.
Like,
It's just not a good look.
right.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want
Very
them
irrational. No, I do. I it's like it's kind of a joke, but it's like just the idea of like I don't know, a pale man just like slathering sunscreen all over him is just like a little emasculating
Right.
to me. I
Do you
don't
not
know.
want him to do it at the beach, or is it, like he can do it in
He
private?
can do it. Maybe like do it in the bathroom so I don't have to see it. You know,
That's
like,
so funny.
Right, and
You can't handle the sun. What?
Right, you can't even get a sunburn.
Loser.
Well, and then one of them, was like a guy waiting to be let into the highway, and no one would let him merge.
Right.
And that is a very like, I am getting the ick because he is not being assertive. He's
Sure.
not being alpha. So like from the women's side, you're getting, oh, I might be icked for being beta, and then from the guy side, I might get called, in the bad, in the way guys have gay.
Right.
Where your whole life you're trying to avoid this like negative, which is not the right. You hear that less now, but like, or you try to say that less now, but that's what's said to you as growing up.
I always think
Right.
about that too, because I wonder if sometimes people say that because it's like they don't want to come across as quote unquote gay, because then it seems like or effeminate, because it's like in some way subconsciously then implying that they have less physical prowess in the bedroom. It's a big leap, but sometimes I wonder if it's like I need to seem hypermasculine in these other scenarios, so then the girl knows I'm gonna, like, I don't know, like take it to Pound Town or whatever it is.
Right.
Like I'm aggressive. Like these cues, because I used to think back that when I was dating, I'd be like, okay, when I go out to eat, I want women to know I'll eat any food. But I was trying to I'm open-minded.
You're alpha.
Right.
And this was my really convoluted way of being like, look, I'm down for like butt stuff.
Right.
Like I'll eat anything. That, but that's like, so I
Right.
wonder if then when some way women see these things where, oh, you're not merging in the lane, is he not going to take control of the bedroom? Some women don't want someone that does take control of the bedroom, but I wonder if these are subliminal things. Or maybe I'm wrong.
I just
No, I
like the
think
thought
there's
of Emma
definitely-
like licking the knot of a balloon. Like, I swear, it's just
try
like your
anything.
asshole. Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if there, we've talked about the concept of like the cool girl who
Right.
maybe like says what she wants less and is kind of down for whatever, is cool with being casual, likes football, whatever it is. But is there the same concept of maybe like the cool guy? And the cool guy is like
Right.
the guy who, doesn't emote that much and does order for the table and
Right.
does do these
Right.
things. Like, is there a pressure to feel like, even if that's not in your nature, like you should be doing those things to be the alpha, so to
Right.
say?
And nowadays, like in the internet world, if you like mesh the real world with the internet world, that guy's made fun of more than anyone. So like that's the punchline of every joke is like,
Yeah, that would be
is
intense.
Roman Empire alpha bro is like is allowable to be made fun of in any mean way you want.
Right.
So you go, okay, if you're kind of below that or like heading towards alpha bro Roman Empire guy, where do you go? Where do you talk about these
Right.
things? Because you're made fun of everywhere. And again, when you said before that there's women out there being dogs too.
Oh,
In
absolutely.
their own way.
Oh
Yes.
my God. I think it's part of the human condition. Like when you get, like they'll adopt like I've seen women catcall other women. It has to be
Really?
and like
Okay.
it has to be like in that, like there's this place called Provincetown. Have you ever been there?
Oh,
Beautiful.
Pete, never been, heard
New York?
great. It's like the Fire Island of Massachusetts.
It's
the gay
beautiful.
area of
Okay.
the Cape Cod. Yeah,
It's
like the capital, right?
it is. It's where they're made, I believe. The gays are made.
Where the gays are made.
But
Okay.
I went once for this women's weekend in college, and I remember the women, and it was like lesbian weekend, and I remember I had this friend of mine, Nicole, and she was getting yelled at by these like rugby ones. So we would just be walking and they'd be like, hey, little thing, like, oh, what, you don't like this? Or come on back here, baby. Like, and I was like, get out of here. It was like the subculture was recreated in that space.
Well,
Right.
well, this is the thing about power. Power corrupts.
Right, they were
power
emboldened.
makes, when you're powerful, whatever your ecosystem, when you get to P-Town,
Right.
okay, all the lions are away. No,
Right.
the tigresses come in and take control of the land. This is,
Right.
the idea of like that, power is can make you drunk,
oh my
you know.
God.
Yeah, but like you're saying though, is it power? Or is it like testosterone?
That I don't know.
Right.
Because I still got to figure out what exactly testosterone is, too.
Right. And how, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know if the studies would be ethical, but like,
Right.
you know,
Right.
how does that
Right.
correlate to, like aggression.
Sure.
Obviously. Yeah.
What if, and I'll leave it at this, but what if the person put on the sunscreen so confidently and
I do encourage sun safety.
Of course,
just
but
privately.
and I know if
On your own time.
like if they overslept.
Yeah, it's like if it's on their, if the guy has like a white,
Sure.
a white
It's
spot
the
on the
streaks.
nose.
But what
or
if they were just
something.
like just the right amount and they rub it in and it's just like totally like boom?
That's okay.
I hope Mike
That's
hears
okay.
that and takes this as a challenge to put it on in a sexy way.
Right.
right.
Just be, he puts it on his own back.
I'm not
Could
doing it.
you?
That's where I draw the line.
I listen. I love this. I think having an open, honest conversation is something people want to hear.
Yes.
I think again, the punchline a lot of times on the internet specifically is this dude. So if you can bring them in to talk in an honest way where they don't feel that they're being
Right.
Understand
And
too.
I do feel like because you are a lesbian, it works.
Right. It
Because
helps.
to have like, I don't know, a straight woman doing that might feel like, what do they call it on the pick me on the internet?
Right, well,
like,
so-
they're just looking for men for the answers.
Totally.
But it's a totally different, to me, it's like, because you are who you are, it's a much more like interesting conversation that's really just about delving into why men think the way they do.
Because I like choose masculine. I was thinking about this too. Like I'll choose masculinity on a lot of the things that I do. So it wasn't something like put on me. So it's almost like transgressive when I pick it. So then I'm curious about people who just had it there and what
Right.
it means. And also the reason it was so important to do it at a place like Betches is because I wanted it to be like female centered and women are ultimately in control of the conversation. Like I don't want it to be like to
Right.
testosterone people like being like they should do this and that. No, not at all.
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, then we record it and then we wait for them to do something important and then we release it to take them down.
Right.
That's what our Betches plan is.
That's the whole have something on all these men. Well, I will. I'm proud to have been the first guest.
Of course,
I think
honored.
What I love about podcasts is like you're here now. This is an appetizer to the Emma Willmann show. If you like Emma now, which I'm sure you do, you go check out Emma's social media presence, all that stuff, and you go check out the podcast. And now
go see her stand up.
and go see her
Please.
stand up.
Thank you guys so much.
And now you're gonna and now I can be the appetizer for the audience here
Yes.
to get into the first episode. And I'm sure the beautiful thing about a podcast is episode 1 doesn't look like episode 10, doesn't look like episode
Totally.
100. So you're gonna figure out what works and what doesn't, and it's gonna evolve. And you, the listener, can evolve with Emma in the show. What are your dates coming up so people can see you live? Do you have anything coming up?
Yes, and I love the way you just said that too, because I love that about podcasts, also being able to like track it and grow. And I felt even through doing it, having more ownership of the questions too, because I was nervous in the beginning. Like I was trying to like protect the guests a little bit, like not wanting them to feel like gotcha. And so, or that was something I was trying to do. So then I was feeling more comfortable through doing it. And the guests have been so open too. But
Who's been on?
we had Francis Ellis.
Love it.
Awesome.
We had Lucas Zelnick.
Don't know
Usama
Lucas.
Siddiqui.
I know. Yeah, great.
We've got Shea Dorina coming up. Mateo Lane's going to be on.
Amazing.
So we got a full slot.
Amazing.
And then I want to get Channing Tatum.
We'll get him.
Oh, wow.
We'll
yeah.
get him.
He'd be great.
He'd be
Right.
great.
Yeah.
He'd be great.
I want to know a lot of stuff from him.
Me too.
Yeah.
Right.
Or Tom Cruise.
That got a
Tom
little.
Cruise. Wow. That would be gold
Right.
mine.
I know. We got
Yeah.
to dream big.
Travis Kelce. You got to get Taylor Swift's
Yes.
new beau.
Could you imagine?
Kanye West.
Kanye,
Oh my God.
Right?
I don't know if I could handle that.
That might be.
Yeah.
I'd see if would you interview Kanye West?
I'd have a lot of questions for him.
I'd have a lot of questions,
I don't. I think it'd be wacky.
Yeah. I'd assist if you did that. I'd come like dap your forehead. I'd do like
Thank you.
in the ring, like I don't know if I could.
You would need all hands on
All
deck.
hands on deck.
for that interview.
For dates coming up, about November 16th at Laugh Boston, and then I will be in Beverly, Massachusetts that weekend, but November 16th, Laugh Boston, and then Austin, Texas, October 27th and 28th. But I keep all my dates at IamEmmaWillmann.com.
I am EmmaWillmann.com.
Yes, sir.
Austin and Boston. We have people in both of those
Yes.
places. They should go out, make it a night, assemble the group chat. What are we talking about? We're going to do an email?
We're going to do an email. I'll read the email and we'll get the takes.
Let's do it.
As we do.
As
Okay.
this is what we do.
Yes. Hi, J&J. I've been getting this question on dating apps surprisingly a lot lately. Why are you still single? I'm a 37-year-old gay man. Sometimes it's people trying to be flirty, in which case I find it kind of annoying, but don't let it bother me too much. Sometimes it's people being nice while letting me down in the same family in the same family as you're an amazing person and going to be so great for someone else. In that case, I just move on. In some cases, though, I think it's people legitimately being surprised and wanting to know. I find it a bit flattering, I guess, but also, is it really that unique to be 37 and single and desirable?
I would hope not.
Yes, 37 and single on Netflix
And
right now.
now you can stream it now, and desirable. That was the old title.
Said 37 single and desirable.
Right. They said that's a little presumptuous.
Right. Especially as a gay man. Little less than that. There
Okay.
About that. I don't think so, but is that not a typical view? Especially because the question has sometimes come from people much older than myself. The true answer is complicated, and I could probably list a million factors. And then they list 7 factors. I'm going to read all 7.
Not to generalize, but this is very gay male of them.
Yes, number one.
You wouldn't be listing 7
Yeah,
factors?
I'd be like, what's wrong? And then it'd be a mess of.
Well, like
this
you
is
said,
very,
the ego of a straight man is like, oh, like
This is organization too. I mean, I couldn't.
I wouldn't even need to think about it because
Right.
I'm so amazing. Okay.
How'd you know?
1, just haven't met the right person yet. Okay.
Okay.
2, previous relationships didn't quite work out for various reasons.
Sure.
3,
That could be lumped into
yes,
number 1.
I would
yeah.
say a bit of bad luck.
Okay.
4, a bit of choice. Have prioritized my education and career and friends for a lot of my life, which has been extra hard for me given that I'm the first in my family to go to college and grad school and grew up in a tiny Midwestern town of 136 people, literally, and had to figure out big city life. I know life in a major coastal city. I now live in a major coastal city. I had to basically learn how to fit into an entirely different culture. Okay.
I can't believe we just
That
heard their
one's a
TED
stretch.
talk.
Right?
5, coming out a bit later in life and didn't really start dating until the mid-20s. See previous statement about growing up in a small conservative town. Good Lord.
Five to me is more.
That's a
Yeah,
bigger one.
right.
Yeah.
I'd put that on 4.
6, realizing 4 to 5 years ago I was attracted to unhealthy dynamics and needing to take a break and figure myself and my priorities out a bit. I can relate to that one.
Yeah.
And to be honest, yes, becoming a better person and better at relationships. 7, here's the final one, guys. It's just life. I think things develop for each of us at different times. We're on a unique path. This one just hasn't quite hit for me yet, but I think it's in the process.
I think we need to make "It's Just Life" T-shirts for people to wear home during the holidays. So if like an aunt's like,
I
"Why
like
are you
that.
still single?"
Put
you
on
just
the hat.
point at the T-shirt.
It's
yeah,
just
put on-
life. It's just
It's
life.
just life, bro.
Back off, bitch.
I would have loved to see him going through and writing these out and then get to that aha moment of being like, it's just life. Like he goes through all these and he's like then soothing himself and he's like, because it's just life is in all caps too.
Yes.
It's just life. It's just life. That's
It
what
does
it is.
feel like they were very dramatic on that last one.
For sure.
It's just life.
That's life. What's
Right.
what's who sings that
What-
song?
it's a Sinatra song.
Is it Sinatra?
That's life.
Yeah.
That's life. That's what the people say. I sucked a lot of dick until the month of May.
I don't think that's in the
That's
Sinatra
not it?
version.
Oh no. It's close?
Yeah.
Okay. That
it
could be a good
Sinatra, though?
explanation for him. That's life.
That's a good line for dating.
You're
right?
riding high in a small town in April and you're sucking dick in May.
It's like that slightly more modern version of what song do I Dreamed a Dream.
Right.
Yes. from Les Mis.
we did that way
Yes.
back when. Yeah.
Yes.
Is it flirty to say, why are you still single? I can see how it'd be flirty because
I
I
think
think
it's
so.
funny.
I think
It's
it's
like-
supposed to be a compliment.
yeah, if you're like, why are you still
Right.
single?
It's better than it being obvious.
Right.
Right.
Well, I know why you're still single.
True.
Right?
They're giving you the list. They're
Right.
like, number 1.
And then
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
And then he says, I could probably go on and on. Thank you for not. I started explaining this to a guy on Hinge the other day, and then I started thinking, do I really have to explain myself like this? Am I interpreting his question too literally?
Yes.
Is he just trying to flirt, or is he fairly trying to figure something out about me? Any thoughts you have on answering this question would be much appreciated. Signed, still single and still worthy.
Well, I think the funniest is I started explaining this to a guy on Hinge. If you're
Right.
paragraphs in
Right.
as the explanation of why you're still single, they have unmatched you.
Exactly. It's how are you still single is like, how are you doing? It's like,
Right.
you don't,
I totally
you can't
agree.
really,
Right.
shouldn't be answering that truthfully.
Yes, it's a general thing. You don't need to get so like if you write, that'd be a huge red flag if someone was like, "I'll tell you why I'm still
Right.
single." Like I can't believe.
I agree. And I do think it's annoying if people ask you why, like on an app especially, it's not even
Right.
like they know you, like, so why are you still single? I think that is an annoying question.
A winky face would do a lot here.
Yeah.
I feel. Why are you still single? And you're
like-
like, mm.
Find out and see.
Right.
Fuck around and find out.
Right. Emma, do you hear this from women ever? Have you ever
No.
heard this from women? See, this to me is not sexuality specific. I think it's gender specific.
Yeah.
This is a male question. This is something men ask and think, and it's like an old school compliment. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's really like classic. It feels very boomer.
It does feel very boomer.
It feels
You're
like
right.
it's like an old way of talking
it's
like
that
this
you should know better than now. Yeah.
Right. Well, it almost feels like the idea of when you're asking that is like, oh, like everyone wants a relationship, and so if you don't have one, then you're lacking. So like how it's like a compliment in the sense of if you are without one, like who would choose
Right.
that? Who would choose to be without one?
And it's
Right.
also like it's making looks, I think, sometimes like a fact and not an opinion.
That's true.
Right? Because you're looking, they're saying they're probably someone who's attracted to you is looking at you going, how are you here amongst all the uglies?
Right.
You know, like that's kind of what they're
Right.
saying.
Shouldn't
And it's
someone
like,
have snatched you up? You are not ugly.
right,
Right.
when it's, attraction is in the eye of the beholder. Like this person, when they're saying that, they are saying, you're in the hotties.
Right.
They're not. They're going. It's a a black and white thing when it's not
That's
that,
true.
and the person receiving it doesn't see it that way. They're
Yeah,
not.
because they're saying kind of like, what am I missing from these pictures that the big red flag is that someone else hasn't snatched you up? Or
Right.
they're just trying to flirt.
That's
Right.
the
That-
but
I- that
that's
I think is
plain and
also a big
simple.
one, yeah.
What they're doing.
I think
Like,
if it's
Right.
on an app, they're just trying to flirt, and I think he is maybe, I know I do this, like looking into it a lot. I
Yes.
wish, anyone could, I would, if from reading this, my main thing to say would just take a deep breath, and it's okay, and it's not personal necessarily.
Right.
I wonder if he was not 37, if it wouldn't be.
It's
Yeah.
You
it
know?
does seem like they're a little self-conscious. Even their sign-off is still single and still worthy. It's
Still
like
worthy.
so. I think anything on an app needs to be put into said to be flirting category.
Yes.
Like if you were gonna like box this because you need to on an app, flirty.
Yes.
At your family reunion, a little annoying.
Right.
A little like I think it's okay to have a bunch of answers to respond with. Like
For sure.
I think it's okay to tell your aunt, well, like, that's kind of how life worked out. I grew up in this fucking one-horse town.
Right.
And none of you knew a gay person, so I didn't know who I was as a person. Fuck you, Aunt Kathy.
Right. Make them
Exactly.
regret
Right.
ever asking
Right.
anything about you. Yes.
Right, but on an app, I think it's like such like I think everyone on a dating app, especially line one, is trying just to get to comfortable conversation.
Yes.
Right.
Do we have a flow? Can they ask me a question back?
Right.
And I know this is a stereotype about Grindr, but I think isn't Grindr like very hookup oriented? That
You-
might just be
Were
a
you
stereotype.
ever
It's
on
like
it?
Tinder-y?
I think Grindr's only men. I'm
Is it only? I
90
didn't know that.
Yeah, I think Grindr's only men, and then there's this other one. There's like a more kink oriented one, Fetch.
Okay.
Field.
Field.
Oh,
Field.
yes, our sponsor.
Field.
Field? Are they a
Yes.
Yes.
sponsor?
So let's not talk any shit.
No, I've heard good things. I know it's and it's
No,
very
I think
queer
it's very,
friendly.
It's very open. Yes.
It's everything. I joined it for half a second.
What happened?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, to just see what it was all about.
Sure.
I wanted,
Oh, nice.
As, we're in the
Like, as
dating
the-
space.
as the, what do you call yourself of male ass play?
The Rosa Parks of
Yes,
male ass
okay.
play. That's me.
I don't know if that
am-
would be. Would they like that on field? that analogy?
I
don't
took
know.
it out of the profile.
Wait, does that mean you are like you're going for it, or someone's doing it?
Well, I'll take a finger.
Good for you. Good
At
for
a minimum,
you.
but
Good for you.
I'll take a digit. So I
for
went
you.
on there to like see what it was all about. Maybe you'd find someone that was so open, and there is fun to be had there, and
Sure.
also you can see there. But the one thing about that app is like everyone is super upfront. Like it is like, here's my
Right.
contract.
Right.
Here's the menu of what I'm
Well,
looking
that
for.
could be
And-
refreshing in
Right.
a certain way. Yeah.
Totally. And I could see why it would be freeing for someone looking for something very specific.
Absolutely.
I would say, like, what apps were you on?
I used to do Tinder, and I would do Tinder in a way where I would just swipe,
Right.
not really look at
That's
it.
how they
just
recommend you.
go. I
So you
would
go
go
all right.
I would go all right
Okay.
fast as I could, and then I would stop and see who matched up with me.
Emma,
Okay. I
part
feel
of
like
the
that's
all
how
right
men-
community.
I feel like that's how men. All
It's
right.
not a great method to do.
Okay. I feel like
too.
men do this a lot.
It
Men,
is-
men do this, yes.
And I don't know what it is, and because then you want to see who matches up with you before you look back.
Men,
Right.
and I think just, people. There's a brand of dater that likes options.
Yes, and you want to
Not
see
specific. Who likes me, and then
who
I'll
likes
make
me.
Well,
decisions.
you're keeping.
Right.
You're not right. You're keeping all the filters off. You want to make sure you don't miss anyone.
Right.
Yeah, I would put 26. I think when I was on it was a couple years ago. So 26 was the youngest. I'm 37 now, so I think say I was on it when I was 32. So I'd do 26 through like 38, and then I would just go. But then one time it was New Year's Eve, and I don't know if either of you guys, or if I don't know if you did dating apps.
I've done the dating apps.
I usually start swiping on New Year's Eve around 12:58, alone
New
on the
Year's Eve or
toilet.
New Year's Day. I think New Year's Day is one of the most popular
That's the big one,
days
right?
of the.
That's a big
of
one, 'cause you're
downloading apps. Yeah.
But I
changed
got
my
to the
life.
end of it where it said you have no more options.
Oh,
Have you
wow.
ever had that on
Oh.
Tinder?
Yeah,
Very
I've had
sad.
that. It's-
especially if you're in an area that doesn't have that.
I
many
was in
people
Times Square. I was in Times Square. I had just done a show. But thank
You're
you.
the end of the universe.
This is it. I was in Times Square.
Every single woman.
They said you have reached basically you need to slow down, and I was like, I had just done a show at a movie theater, and I was just kind of sitting there, and everyone else around me was like kissing, and it was a very sad moment, and then I was like, where do I go from here?
It's snowing,
I
no
reached the end.
jacket.
Yeah.
Now when you, but I guess
So
what are
Tinder
the,
was my big one, but there isn't. I don't know of a lesbian specific one. I know they have one called Her, but I think it's really small.
what is like an opening line that would annoy you from other women?
Ooh. I liked any line. If someone messaged me, I would
Right.
appreciate
Any line.
that. But here's the thing: if I'm being totally
See, this
honest,
is where you take the more masculine role in things. You're
Yes.
swiping right on everyone, and you're like, just talk to me. I'm down.
Right, and then
Thrilled.
I'll decide.
And then,
Yes.
right. This is
thrilled. But this is where it gets kind of messed up, and I feel bad admitting it. But it's like the opening line from someone. Okay, dating doesn't always bring out the best in you. The opening line from someone, if you think they're cute, they can pretty much say anything.
Right.
You have to get more and more creative if you're not actually. Because I remember one of the
Yes.
nicest messages I ever got was from someone who was not someone I would be lined up to be attracted with. It was this.
But you matched. Oh, you swiped right on everyone.
Swipe right on everyone. I got the nicest message from this. It was like a really butch barista, and it was the sweetest message.
What was the message?
It was like, hey, I see that you do comedy, so you probably feel a lot of pressure to write something witty to people. So
my God.
I wanted to reach out to you first and just know if we were talking,
wow.
there'd never be any pressure to be funny. Like, I'm not sure if you're into coffee, come by my coffee shop. I said, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
I was like I've got short hair, trying to like twirl it. Like, I was like, but I just would never, and that was such a good line.
Did you go
She's
out?
like,
No, of course
So
not.
not good enough.
She's like,
It's
no,
not-
that ugly.
There's no, I wouldn't,
like,
there's
come
no
to the-
iota.
Well, the only time that really could work is if you're a little on the fence, right? If you're
Right.
if you're a definite no,
Yes.
not happening. If you're already a yes, like it doesn't matter.
Then
what they say.
great. Yes,
exactly.
exactly.
She
That's
couldn't
a
have
big-
said anything.
If it's a maybe, then it could. If you were like, I might be attracted, ish.
Right.
I think
Wow.
you might have gone out,
And
right?
that would have been.
Would you have?
I wouldn't have.
Okay. Never mind.
No,
Like if she
but
was like,
yes.
Yes.
come to the coffee shop,
But if
I'll
you-
go
if you were
down on
like,
you on the Koala Bear Care
when,
Center.
You know when there's like
No.
6 pictures and you're like, one of them or 2 of them, like I could maybe see being attracted. The others, not really.
For me, with someone that's like a more masculine presentation, there would just be no.
Absolutely
I'd rather
nothing
be
there.
with like
Right.
a super effeminate guy.
But I'm saying, let's say you got that message from like someone where you were like, these 2 pictures look kind of cute.
yes. Yes, I see what you're saying.
But
If-
it's not 100. But I'm not like, so this person's so fucking hot.
Oh, they
Yeah.
could be not attractive. If they were feminine but not stereotypically attractive at all, yes, I would have gone out on the date a minute.
Right.
It could have been any visual under the feminine umbrella.
I see.
I mean, whoa. You
Emma
know,
and I
go
have
to a
this-
truck
Emma-
stop, pull her out of the truck, but you got to get a one of those levers. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
care. Like
Okay.
any size, anything, I would have been into it.
Right.
No
Emma
problem.
and I have very similar taste in women. We like
Yeah.
feminine.
Is your taste also Kourtney Kardashian?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like.
Emma got serious.
Very pretty. Yeah. And she's fun. She's got a good
She's
personality.
the fun one. Yeah,
She's the fun one.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
definitely
She's the
the fun
funny one. Yeah,
Right.
that's.
Okay.
I
yeah.
like that. And
2 for Courtney. Okay.
But if
for
someone had
Courtney.
sent
That's the
that
name of this
message
episode.
and they were 2 for Courtney. If someone sent
we'll
that
do two for Courtney.
Yeah, please. If someone sent that message and they were in any way under some, yes, you're exactly right. Then it would have tipped the
But
scale.
let's see if
Yeah.
you think. Would you think like me, where it's like, if you're even doing, that you're kind of like, well, I would never be in a relationship, so like I don't know if I could get past.
With that nice of a message, though.
It's a nice message.
It's such a nice message. And if anything under the feminine, this person was very basically it'd be the equivalent to me of like almost like a masculine guy sending me a message. That's how masculine this person was. So to me, I was like, there's just no
right.
But anything under the feminine umbrella, I would have been at that coffee shop.
Okay. So it was an almost. So if you're
right.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Nice
so,
message.
Listen, I mean, I just like hearing about everyone else's.
I know, it's
thing
so
on
interesting
on these apps, especially because
and what people say.
Right, because
it's hard.
Do women get ever sexual, or is it mostly like
never, Jared? No,
Never.
yes, yeah, of course, we don't do that.
No,
Yeah, they get. You know what I do think is not. I don't think that there's. I don't know many women who are. It's like the thing where they're just sending like, "Hey, you near me? Let's hook up right now." I don't know anyone who.
It's not like immediate.
I haven't.
Okay.
None of that I have seen at all. I mean,
It's always like let's go out.
let's go out. You
See how
talk
we
a
feel.
little
Right,
bit. I
yeah.
mean, there might be something for that. I don't know.
that should say something to men out there. Like if you're a straight guy listening, like
It doesn't work.
That whole thing is like it's like you are looking for a needle in a haystack.
Yes.
If you're on there
Right.
being like, let's meet up tonight and go fuck. Like maybe, but like never.
Right.
Like
and even if that you can get to that result, but if you're so straightforward about it, no one's gonna be interested. Like,
Sure.
like women, it's not like women won't hook up on the first night. like,
Absolutely.
right?
And I'm
Right.
sure there's so many women looking for just like queer women,
Right.
everybody that are looking
But
for just
just
sex, but you have to do it in a way where it's like
classy.
classy. People, women,
Right.
I've noticed women need to feel safe.
Well,
Yes,
but
that's
huge.
another
that's
thing,
the point.
yes.
If queer women won't be like, hey, with another woman to be like, hey, let's go fuck right away.
They
and
do
they
do
don't-
that sometimes,
they do
actually.
that
I have
sometimes.
seen, but it's not, there's not
But
like,
the
I was
safety,
gonna,
I'm saying, is like
Right.
It was high with another woman, higher with another woman, I would assume.
And
or
there's
feel,
not, like-
the feeling of it.
I guess sometimes someone will just send like a picture, but it's the power dynamic is different.
Right.
Because safety
Right.
is key.
Right.
Yes. I mean, yeah. Who is most likely to kill us? It's
Right.
Right
you
here.
guys.
True.
This guy.
Statistically,
It's life.
Yeah,
it's
there
life.
we go. Well, this is fantastic.
And on that note,
yeah, right.
ask men anything. Why do you keep trying to murder us?
That should be the opening question for every.
That's a true crime. Ask men anything.
Right. Go to
Dating
the prison.
dating app stuff is really hard, and I really relate to him analyzing this to this degree.
Oh, 100%.
Especially if you get it more, like, as I bet if there was something where you're like, man, women keep reaching out to me saying the same line, then you'd start thinking, am I giving something off? That they,
Right.
like, if people were
Right.
like, Jared, do you want to get cheesecake? And a bunch of women ask that, you'd be like, what about my
Right.
pictures is implying this?
That
Why
I
do I
like
look like
cheesecake.
I want cheesecake
Right.
so much?
Right.
I gotta go on a
Well, a little
diet.
introspection is good for you sometimes. But I think in this guy's case, to answer his question directly, I wouldn't overthink it. It's totally normal to be 37 and single.
Absolutely.
And I think it's done in a flirty way. And the more you look into it, I think the more you get in your own head. And
Yes.
it creates like an insecurity that shouldn't be there.
Right, and when
Yeah.
you're literally, I was explaining this to a guy on Hinge the other day. It's like you have typed
Right.
too much. You've
Yeah.
gotten too
Let it go.
personal. Let it go. Emma, this was fantastic. We're so
Thank
happy you
you.
came on.
And 37 and single, watch Jared's
Oh,
special.
stop
You
it,
got to
stop.
watch
Thank
it.
you. Everyone, go follow Emma. I am EmmaWillmann.com. That's where you can go to get all the dates. Austin, Boston, and then the podcast.
Yes, sir. Ask Men Anything out every Tuesday.
Tuesday. Add it to your Rolodex. This is the
Yes.
thing. I am a podcast listener. And what is better than having that new show that you look forward to on one day of the week?
Yes, and
Ma-
especially
make
listeners
Emma-
of this show
Right.
who, how many questions do we get? Why is he doing this? Why is
Right.
he doing that? We now have a place.
We can open
Got
it
a
up.
place.
to
Yes,
all
any
things.
questions you have, you can write in at ama@betches.com, and I will ask the questions for you and report back.
There we go.
Amazing.
Well,
you, guys.
Jordana, we solved dating again.
We did it, and we'll be back on Wednesday with a regular episode. Bye.
Boom.
The You Up podcast is produced by Jorge Morales-Pico, Sean Kilby, and Candice Maniga. Editing by Jorge Morales-Pico and Shannon Sassone. Social media by Candice Maniga. Guest booking by Ali Friedlander. Be sure to follow at you.up.podcast